Two men in Birmingham turned ordinary blank-firing pistols into live, deadly weapons and promised their customers one thing: these guns would not jam. Police say their home doubled as a gun factory, producing firearms and ammunition destined for criminals across the UK. When officers finally raided their addresses, what they found was both chilling and surreal. Christmas cards and family decorations sitting just feet away from tools for making weapons of war. This is the story of how Rahim Kizito and Godfrey Mbugoniwe tried to arm Britain's underworld, and how they were finally stopped. In the UK, gun laws are some of the toughest in the world. Owning a firearm legally requires strict licensing, and most types of handguns have been banned since the late 1990s. But there's a loophole: blank firing pistols. These weapons are designed to fire blanks for things like film props, starting races, or training purposes. By themselves, they can't fire live bullets. But with the right tools, knowledge, and time, some criminals have been able to convert them into lethal weapons. That's exactly what Rahim Kizito specialized in. Investigators later learned he was the armorer of the operation, the one with the technical know-how to adapt these legal-looking blanks into real, deadly firearms. His partner, Godfrey Mbugoniwe, was the salesman, the middleman who spoke to buyers and made the deals. Together, they had created a cottage industry of weapon production hidden inside Birmingham. The story came to light in 2023. West Midlands Police's County Lines Task Force had been investigating the pair after intelligence linked them to gun sales and drug supply. When officers finally moved in, they arrested both men and immediately searched their addresses. At a flat in Wharfdale Road, South Yardley, they uncovered 3 viable firearms, already converted to fire-live ammunition, along with compatible bullets and suspected Class A drugs. But that was just the beginning. A further raid on Russell Street in Rubery revealed the real heart of the operation: a makeshift gun factory. Inside, officers found a workbench cluttered with tools, bullet casings, handgun magazines, and everything needed to modify blank firing weapons. What shocked officers most was the setting. Among the tools of crime were Christmas cards pinned on the wall and gift bags scattered around, signs of an ordinary domestic life existing alongside a deadly weapons production line. It painted a disturbing picture. This wasn't a cold industrial warehouse or hidden bunker. It was a suburban home, hiding a factory for death. Through seized messages, detectives pieced together the business model. Rahim Kizito acted as the armorer, carefully adapting weapons, sourcing ammunition, and testing them before they were handed over. He would reassure customers personally, telling them the guns would not jam. That promise was key. For criminals planning robberies, intimidation, or even violent attacks, reliability meant everything. Godfrey Mbugoniwe acted as the broker. He handled conversations with customers, discussed weapon specifications, and even negotiated prices. Messages showed him confirming orders and arranging the sale of both firearms and ammunition. Each gun was sold for between £1,000 and £3,000, depending on the model and customer's requests. Blank firing pistols can be legally bought for just a few £100s, sometimes less. By converting them and reselling as real weapons, the profit margins were massive. Ammunition was also included in sales, further boosting profits. For gangs looking for affordable firepower, this was a goldmine. Instead of smuggling weapons across borders, which carried high risks of detection, they could buy from a domestic producer operating out of Birmingham. This case wasn't just about 2 men tinkering with guns in a back room. The weapons they produced were intended for real criminals on UK streets. Converted blank-firing pistols have been linked to shootings across the country. They may not look like military-grade rifles, but they are compact, concealable, and capable of killing. That's why demand in the criminal underworld is so high. The County Lines Task Force, which led this case, focuses not just on drug dealing, but also on the weapons that fuel violence. By removing this manufacturing hub, police believe they may have prevented dozens of shootings and saved lives that could have been lost to gang disputes or robberies. Detective Sergeant Adam Buzzard, who led the operation, said it best. This was a serious case involving high-level criminality, putting live firearms in the hands of criminals. Thanks to the efforts of the major crime team, we were able to uncover the extensive operation and potentially save dozens of lives. Both Kizito and Mbugoniria denied involvement at first, but the evidence against them was overwhelming. Police had seized the guns, the tools, the ammunition, and the digital messages, showing them actively selling and promoting their products. In late 2023, the two men were charged with multiple firearms offences and brought before Birmingham Crown Court. The trial highlighted not just the weapons themselves, but the calculated way the pair operated. This wasn't reckless experimentation, it was organised crime, built on exploiting loopholes and feeding the illegal market. On July 28, 2023, both men were sentenced. Rahim Kizito, 29, of Russell Street, Cofton Hackett, received 13 years and 7 months in prison. Godfrey Mbugoniria, 27, of Brunswick Road, Birmingham, was jailed for 12 years and 9 months. Combined, the sentences total more than 25 years behind bars. For UK firearms cases, that's a heavy outcome, showing how seriously the courts treat gun manufacturing. The most haunting part of this case isn't what police found, but what could have happened if they hadn't intervened. Each weapon converted by Kizito and Mbugoniria had the potential to end a life. A gun sold for £2,000 could have been used in a robbery, a gang feud, or an act of intimidation. With 3 weapons already seized, and equipment to make many more, the scale of potential damage was enormous. When you consider the sentences, over 25 years combined, it's not just about punishing the men. It's about sending a message. In the UK, if you put guns into criminal hands, the justice system will come down hard. One of the most striking details from this case was the setting. Police photos showed a workbench with empty bullet casings and gun magazines, and right behind it, family Christmas cards and colourful gift bags. It's a reminder that organised crime often hides in plain sight. To neighbours, it might have looked like an ordinary home, but inside it was a lethal factory capable of producing weapons for the streets. That contrast between the ordinary and the deadly is what made this case so chilling. The case of Rahim Kizito and Godfrey Mbugoniria shows how far some will go to exploit loopholes in the law for profit. By converting blank firing weapons into live firearms, they turned an ordinary Birmingham flat into a weapons factory and put countless lives at risk. Thanks to the work of the County Lines Task Force and West Midlands Police, their operation was dismantled before more guns could reach the streets. But the case is also a reminder of the ongoing challenges police face. Criminals continue to seek ways to arm themselves, whether through smuggling, conversion, or even 3D printing. For now though, 2 men who thought they could profit from Britain's underworld are serving long sentences, and their story stands as yet another example of how hidden gun factories in the UK can lead to devastating consequences if left unchecked. That was the story of Birmingham's gun-making duo. What do you think? Are sentences like 13 years enough for producing firearms for criminals, or should they be even tougher? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more UK true crime stories.